Today on Steelers Talk, we've got all the latest Steelers quarterback rumors surrounding Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Rodgers. Will break down all the latest surrounding these four quarterbacks and their chances of being the Steelers' starting quarterback in 2025. But before we get into it, make sure you guys predict it for me down there in the comments section. Who will be the Pittsburgh Steelers' Week 1 starting quarterback next season? Let me know down there in the comment section to kick off today's show, and don't forget to let me know your reasons why you are picking that signal caller. Okay, now let's start with Russell Wilson here, because there has been a lot that has been discussed about whether or not the Steelers are still considering Russell Wilson as a viable option to be their starting quarterback in 2025. We'll start with what Jay Glazer said last week on Radio Row in New Orleans at the Super Bowl, and this is really what kickstarted everything. He says, I don't think Russ returning to Pittsburgh is going to happen either. I think you'll see a new start for Russell somewhere else. And then Glazer also sounded unsure about Justin Fields' future, kind of saying, I don't think. Then he stopped himself and said, I don't think the Steelers know what they're doing at the quarterback position at this point in time. But then we've had several other conflicting reports with what Glazer had to say last week, starting with Diana Rossini here, who says the Steelers decided, all right, we're probably most likely stick with Justin Fields here moving forward. For Russell Wilson, I don't think it was the perfect fit. I think it was a great move by Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization to take a chance on him, and then we saw so much success out of it. But I think in the end, with who they want to be and the identity, all the reasons we thought it was strange almost came to light now. I think Justin Fields is the one they keep on this roster. So whereas Glazer said, yes, they're moving on from Russ, but I'm not sure about Fields, Rossini sounds more sure that Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. Then, Super Bowl Sunday, Adam Schefter comes out in the morning and says this about the situation surrounding Russ. Returning to Pittsburgh is a possibility, despite the fact that many have speculated that it's not likely. There have been ongoing conversations between Russell Wilson and the organization about what to do in the future. There will be a market for Justin Fields. A number of teams have taken interest in him, and we'll see whether or not that includes Pittsburgh in his future. And then minutes after, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN came out with his latest news dump there, where he says the door is quote-unquote open for the Steelers and Justin Fields to make a deal. And he says that it's actually Mike Tomlin that has the loyalty to Russell Wilson, and then Justin Fields may price himself out of Pittsburgh, so it certainly seems like there's going to be some sort of market for Justin Fields in free agency this year, and the Steelers might have to pay a little bit more to keep him on the roster. And then he also linked Russell Wilson to the New York Football Giants. Then Ian Rappaport from NFL Network had this to say about the situation. It's possible another veteran quarterback becomes available that would entice the Steelers into moving on from both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Otherwise, Pittsburgh is likely to have Wilson or Fields back on a short-term deal while also continuing to seek a long-term answer, potentially through the draft. So listen, man, obviously all these reports are conflicting with one another. All these guys are connected. All these guys know what they're talking about. But I do think that if you claim to know exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do in 2025 at this position, you're absolutely kidding yourself. All right. At this point last year, I mean, it was like a known fact among, national media and even local media in Pittsburgh that the Steelers were planning on bringing back Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett to compete for the starting job in 2024. And then by the time that, free agency came around, neither of them were on the roster. It was Russell Wilson and Justin Fields as the two quarterbacks on this team. And I think that was the right decision. But the Steelers are certainly going to take their time here. And I don't think that there's any need to rush the decision. What if Matthew Stafford becomes available? What if Geno Smith becomes available? What if you really like somebody like Sam Darnold or Aaron Rodgers? You got to go through the process here. And it does seem like the Pittsburgh Steelers are more than willing to take their time when it comes to picking their quarterback for the 2025 season, and that is absolutely the right strategy. But I have said on this show that I would be okay getting an outside option at quarterback, and I do think Pittsburgh should be doing their due diligence on potentially bringing in a new quarterback, not Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, in 2025 if they can get an upgrade. The reason for that, the problem for Russell Wilson is that he has a limited skill set at this point in his career. He's no longer the athlete he once was, therefore he's not the out-of-structure playmaker he once was, and then because he's so short, he's limited as an in-structure playmaker quicker past his first read. So I think that, the rest of the team around Russell Wilson really needs to be stellar. His pass protection has to be great. He has to have a great run game, has to have great weapons, and of course he needs that elite defense. All right, I think that I would rather have a quarterback that doesn't need as much help as Russell Wilson needs at this point in his career. But on the flip side there, for a team that's trying to win now, and yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to win now and try to get Cam Hayward a ring before he retires in 2 years, I don't know if Justin Fields, who after 4 seasons hasn't established himself as a top 25 quarterback in the National Football League, in my opinion, and has zero playoff experience, is exactly the type of guy that's going to lead this team to the promised land in the next 2 years. So for me personally, if there's a veteran out there with playoff experience that gives you a better chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years than Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, I'm more than willing to look at those options. So let me know down there in the comments section, what is the percent chance that Pittsburgh's QB1 in 2025 wasn't on the roster last year? So not Russell Wilson and not Justin Fields. Put it on a scale of 0, meaning no chance it's an outside quarterback, to 100%, meaning it's definitely going to be an outside quarterback. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by putting it on a scale of 0 to 100. Coming up here, I got the latest on Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers. We got a lot of scoops over the last week or so surrounding these two quarterbacks. I'll let you guys know what I think about these two guys and their potential fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Mando Whole Body Deodorant. And let me ask you guys a question. What do you have to do in order to get ready for a first date? You get a new haircut, clean your car, you get your fit together, you're looking good. All that stuff is important, but deodorant is a non-negotiable, guys. That's where my favorite whole body deodorant comes in with Mando. Mando is safe to use anywhere on your body and is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Also, Mando's entire line of products are baking soda free, paraben free, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Spirit. I personally recommend the bourbon leather, guys. You can find all of their products in major retailers such as Walmart and Target, but for the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Personally, guys, I got the entire big bottle of this bourbon leather body wash from Mando at my apartment here in Dallas, Texas, guys, and I absolutely love it. And honestly, guys, I always, keep up my, hygiene pretty darn well, but where this company has really helped me out is the other people here in the office here at Chat Sports. Now that we've got all these free samples, all that great stuff, Mando has certainly helped us out. So if you guys want to stay fresh for up to 72 hours, you guys can check out Mando's Starter Pack today. And Mando's Starter Pack is perfect for new customers because it comes with a solid stick of deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. You can get a mini body wash like I just showed you guys, and their deodorant wipes are also highly recommended as well. Plus, you get free shipping. As a special offer for Steelers Talk listeners, new customers get $5 off their starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT. When you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando Whole Body Deodorant today. So we talked about conflicting reports when it comes to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now there's conflicting reports about Matthew Stafford because there is beginning to be some smoke surrounding the possibility of the Rams' former Super Bowl champion quarterback potentially getting traded this offseason. It all started with Stafford's wife, Kelly, saying this after Cooper Kupp announced that he is getting shopped by the Los Angeles Rams. "My husband wants to win. He's not trying to put a team in a bad situation. I will say that trading away Cooper, I guess I'm confused because we were one play away from going to the NFC Championship, and I think if we go, we win. I have to be the dog in this situation. I want the respect for him he deserves. Yes, I love the city of LA. With that being said, I love an adventure." So certainly keeping the door open to a new adventure for the Stafford family. And, I don't think that's coming out of nowhere. I think, obviously husband and wife, they talk about these things a lot. So if Kelly Stafford is sharing these sentiments, we can, reasonably say that Matt might be having some thoughts about potentially requesting a trade this offseason as well. Then Peter Schrager came out this weekend and said, "I don't think Stafford's retiring, but I think there's a chance he might wear another uniform in the near future, based on what the tea leaves are saying." As for the Rams, I'll tell you what, I know it sounds crazy now, but Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty well liked there this season. So there are detractors to the kind of rumors that Matthew Stafford's going to be made available as well. ESPN's Dan Granziano had this to say in his kind of news dump yesterday. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is likely to return to LA in 2025, according to sources close to the situation. The past 2 seasons have been good for Stafford, who turned 37 on Friday and believes the Rams' leadership gives them the ability to contend every year. So listen, man, my take on Matthew Stafford is that if the Rams make him available, the Pittsburgh Steelers have to go all in on trying to acquire him because I think out of the quarterbacks that could realistically be made available, Stafford gives the Steelers the best possible chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, and I do believe he is still a top 10 NFL quarterback. Now, maybe he's not as good as he was in his prime, but he is still very, very good, still has high-end arm talent, his big-time experience playing in a system similar to Arthur Smith's with a lot of crossing routes, lots of full-field progression reads. The mental processing is top-notch. He has the playoff experience, and he is a Super Bowl champion. That's important to Mike Tomlin at this stage of his tenure as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, and he's a clutch performer. This guy beat Tom Brady in a duel in the fourth quarter in the postseason, all right? He ended Tom Brady's career there, or actually, no, he didn't. Dak Prescott did with the Dallas, but he did beat Tampa Bay with Tom Brady on their Super Bowl run there in Tampa Bay, by the way. Now, the cons are he's not very mobile. He's not going to be like Justin Fields out there running around making crazy plays out of structure in that way. And he can be a little bit over-aggressive at times, which leads to some turnovers. But you look at the kind of checklist that the Steelers are looking for in their starting quarterback, he checks a lot of the boxes, man. He is an experienced playoff veteran. He's a great scheme fit with what Arthur Smith wants to do here in Pittsburgh. I think he can play in AFC North conditions. He has said he doesn't like playing in the cold, but he can certainly do that. He played well, in my opinion, in that game in the snow against the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs this year. He is a high-end downfield passer, and then I think he's done a better job at protecting the football the last 2 years, but he's certainly thrown he's thrown his share of interceptions in his NFL career, let's put it that way. But also, if the Steelers trade for Matthew Stafford, the cap hits over the next 2 seasons, by the way, that's their Super Bowl window for Cam Hayward, it's pretty darn decent. They'd only be paying him the 19th highest annual average salary among quarterbacks, and that's, by the way, right now. There's going to be quarterbacks that get even higher paid this offseason, so you'd be paying, arguably a top 10 quarterback, top 20 money if you end up trading for Matthew Stafford, and that becomes a possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so it makes sense financially for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. So because of all those reasons, guys, Stafford is my number one somewhat realistic choice at quarterback. Now, if I'd have to guess right now, I think the Rams probably keep him around. I think Stafford and the Rams will come to some sort of agreement, and I think that he will be a Los Angeles Ram in 2025. But if he's made available, no doubt about it, the Steelers need to send the blitz to try and get Stafford in a Steelers uniform. Then another possibility that has now come up because of some recent reporting lately, Aaron Rodgers, former Green Bay Packer, he is future Hall of Famer. I mean, remember, just a few short seasons ago, people were calling this man right here the GOAT, and he has said in the past that he respects Mike Tomlin a ton and would love to play for him. Jay Glazer yesterday had this report on his X account. Big scoopage. Aaron Rodgers flew back to New Jersey last week to meet with the Jets about his future with the team, only to be told that the team was moving on from him. If that means that he will be a June 1 designation that allows him to sign with any team in the league on March 12th if he decides to continue to play. Given that Aaron made the effort to fly back to discuss his future, all signs point to him continuing to play, just won't be for the New York Jets. So let's go over some of the positives when it comes to Aaron Rodgers becoming a Pittsburgh Steeler, because there are positives to the Steelers potentially getting Rodgers as their QB1. He is a Super Bowl champion with a lot of playoff experience. Like I said, that's important to Mike Tomlin in this current window of Steelers football. Also, he is an excellent fit for Arthur Smith's offense. He has played a ton in West Coast systems. He had the best years of his career with Matt LaFleur in this kind of similar style of West Coast system. And he's really, really good at processing over the middle of the field, which kind of differentiates him from Russell Wilson. He still has some really high-end arm talent, can make crazy big-time throws, and he protects the football at a high clip as well. He's also thrived in cold weather conditions his entire career playing with the Green Bay Packers and the New York Jets. And then also he is still an elite pre- and post-snap processor. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks and highest IQ passers in the history of the National Football League. But there are very legitimate concerns that Steelers fans have about bringing Aaron Rodgers in as the starting quarterback of the black and gold that are certainly reasonable. The first one is that would he really be a culture fit with Mike Tomlin? He's kind of known as kind of more of a me guy as opposed to a we guy. Does that really fit with what Mike Tomlin wants in his starting quarterback? Also, you got the Ryan Clark thing, who's really good friends with Mike Tomlin. Ryan Clark and Aaron Rodgers have beef. How would that really go down? Also, Rodgers' decreased athleticism is very similar to Russell Wilson's, where he's not as good of an out-of-structure playmaker as he once was, so he has to win within structure. Also, he has a hard time developing chemistry with new wide receivers, so going to another new team might be a challenge. Now, he might bring Davante Adams here to Pittsburgh, so that might not be as much of a challenge. But also, he leaves Pittsburgh with no real long-term plan at quarterback if they end up getting him as the new starting quarterback. And, even if you want Aaron Rodgers as the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, you have to at least acknowledge that 2024 was a disaster for the New York Jets offense. And, it's not like it was all Aaron's fault. You had the head coach that got fired. You had an interim in there that didn't really know what he was doing, in my opinion, Jeff Ulbrich. And then you had Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator, who we all know is absolutely terrible at scheming things open. And you see the results here, guys. 27th in EPA per dropback. That is not good at all. Justin Fields' EPA per dropback was higher than Aaron Rodgers is, just to show you how bad that is. The accuracy, I think, took a big dip down, which concerns me. I think that the lack of chemistry with his receivers certainly contribute to that. But he didn't really throw the ball down the field all that much. He was 40th in average depth of target. They ran a lot of screens and quick passes for Aaron last year in New York. But the one thing that you can say about Aaron is that he does protect the football with turnover-worthy play percentage, just at 1.8. And then he gets the ball out of his hands quickly, which you can't say about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So the big question when surrounding, the very old, right, Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is, can he still be a good enough quarterback on a winning team that isn't just completely crumbling organizationally like the New York Jets, right? Like the defense completely crumbled, all these different things. Later in the season, they had interim head coach, they had a terrible offensive coordinator, all these different things. But, I think you got to remember here that Pittsburgh would be asking Rodgers to be more of a game manager than a true superstar. He was asked to really carry the team in New York last season. In Pittsburgh, they're hoping to have a run-first offense. They're hoping to have an elite defense. They have a head coach in Mike Tomlin that they believe in and is a strong leader of men. And they would be asking Aaron Rodgers to come in and just be a decent NFL quarterback to help them win football games and deliver a game-winning drive every once in a while, deliver on a 3rd and long every once in a while. And I think Rodgers is still very capable of doing those things. So listen, man, Rodgers isn't my first choice at quarterback. He's not. But, I think that I might prefer him over Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And I know that might be very unpopular to say because there's a lot of people that like Justin Fields in this fan base, and I understand why they like the upside that comes with Justin Fields. But the Steelers are trying to win now. And I think that you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who has won a Super Bowl, who I still think has some really nice arm talent, and I like the fit with him in the Steelers offense. I would at least think about Aaron Rodgers as a potential option, especially if you can get him for the right price in free agency. So fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. Aaron Rodgers is a top blank quarterback right now. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. I still think that he is hovering somewhere between top 15 and top 20. He's still a decent NFL starting quarterback. He's limited at this point in his career, but I still think he can provide some value to an NFL team. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. If you made it to the end of today's edition of Steelers Talk, type real one for me down there in the comments section. I know it was a little bit of a longer one today, guys, but that's what makes you a real one, making it to the end of today's show. Coop and I are going to be going live on Steelers Talk Live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be talking some Deebo Samuel. Going to be talking some wide receiver draft prospects. Going to talk a little about the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to join us, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a great time on Steelers Talk Live this afternoon. So until then, guys, here we go, Steelers.